Bitcoin just broke above 111,000. Ethereum flirting with 4,100. Well, we got some liquidity flowing back into the marketplace after last week's brutal flush out. The market's starting to wake up again. And this rebound is actually packed with both opportunity and traps. So, are we actually starting the next leg to try to attack the 127 level, or is this just getting ready for the market, the big boys, to pull the rug out once again and make sure they put maximum pain on unprepared traders? Well, we're going to break it all down for you. Welcome back, Crypto Crew. It's your boy Tommy. I'm bringing you the hottest in crypto and Bitcoin action. Make sure you give us a like. Make sure you hit subscribe if you have not already. Share us with your friends, please. YouTube is quite a difficult space to break into. It would be great if you did. So anyway, also make sure you come on over to X. Follow us on X where we talk about Bitcoin, crypto all day, every day, because we are crypto maniacs. We bring you cutting edge news, so you should have this up, open all the time on X. And be sure to interact with us. All right, let's break it all down for you. All right, so what's going on here? Finally, the market is starting to show some signs of recovery. And we're going to get into the 2-hour chart because that's the most important chart right now. Now, we climbed above 111,000 briefly. So it's Bitcoin's up about 1.2%. Ethereum rises past 4,000 slightly, gaining nearly about 2%, marking a real return of some confidence from last week's pullback. But we are not out of the woods yet. So strap in. We got a lot to cover today. We're going to dive into these short-term charts right now, and let's do some chart work on the 2-hour. Okay. Yesterday, I told you that we needed to actually hold the 106, and we needed to actually stay in between, if anything, within this channel right here. And then we needed to break above this 107, 800,000, and then the 108,000. And we did very, very nicely. Okay. So now, as we look at this, all right, we are still, not clear of any potential re-break back down. Now, in my open, I said the big boys would love to pull the rug out once again. They would love to destroy every over-leveraged retail guy out there. So that's why you got to be careful. Don't over-leverage yourself, okay? I got some great news that's coming up in this video, but it's going to be long-term. And we got to put that in the long-term file. We can't trade, something that hasn't, it's starting to happen. The formation is happening. But we can't trade that future event now as if it's occurring now because, short term, we're going to have a lot of to and fro in this marketplace. So with that being said, as it stands right now, Bitcoin breaking back above this tine of our pitchfork, good thing. Main resistance right now, look at this, 112, 113. Okay, monster resistance is right here. This rectangle right there, that is the monster. Okay, that's what needs to be cleared to say, okay, now we could start trading in a new consolidating range. As it stands right now, we're not clear. We're not further enough from the low, the spike down low at 103 yet, this low here. We're still not clear of it. We haven't cleared out all the bears yet, okay? Once we get above this triangle, triangle. Okay, Tom. Yeah, that's a rectangle, or actually potentially even a square. But once we get through this, then we could start to say that we're trading, it's safe that we're going to try to attack that 126,000 odd high. Until then, we got some to and fro to go back from. So what are the to and fros? Right now, as it stands, okay, after we made this high of 111,006, it's got to hold the line, and I'm going to pull it down a little bit. I'm going to pull it down to 108, like 4. It has to hold 1084. Why am I picking that? I'm going up to the top of this breakdown, like this breakaway bar, which was so severe that actually took us back down to that 103,528 low. I'm just using that as like a key support point. Okay, could it drift to 107? Yeah, I wouldn't like to see that though. I would like to see more of a hold here and then a takeout of the 112, like I say 113. Now, there is some wood to chop up even here if you look at 114. There's just a lot of resistance. So actually, you know what, we could say there's actually two boxes that we got to get through as I'm looking at this chart. You know, I'm not talking out of both sides of my mouth, but I'm saying that's right there. We got this box we got to clear. Once we clear that box, we should be using this as support to get us up through this price point of 115.8, potentially even rally to 118. Because I see a lot of people out there going, oh, well, if we break 115, we're going to go to 120. No, man. No way. No way. There's wood to chop at 118. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, you just can't give green light. I mean, the marketplace has been in turmoil. So that's why you got to get into our pro group. I'm not going to mention it more than a couple of times because I know people get, a little upset with me. And by the way, my name is Tom. I'm not Merlin. Okay? I'm a guy from Long Island, New York. I'm not from Utrecht, the Netherlands. No, that's for sure. So I can't understand how you guys get me confused, but I say it in the open. It's Tom here, your boy, bringing you the hottest Bitcoin crypto action. Yeah, Merlin's out, he's trading, and you got to get in the group because he interacts with the people in the group. Great guy, a lot of fun, wonderful guy, young man, Frank's another good guy. We got a really good team over there. Get part of the team, man. It's free. You can't beat it. Now, so here's the points. Again, I would have nothing to do here. I wouldn't be doing anything. If I just came back from holiday and I'm looking at the market, I'm not doing anything here. The only thing I'm doing is I'm looking for a retrace. If I believe that this market structure is still bullish, and it is short term, it is bullish. Why? Well, we got the high, we got a deep low, right? Now we got a slightly higher high right here. Then we got a higher low. So the high low structure is holding right now on the short term. So I would look for a pullback. That's what I'd be doing. Now if we get a breakup, through here, that would actually show some strength. But I don't think it's getting through 114 real quick. I think it's actually going to pull back, and I would wait for another pullback to like like this low here, or like somewhere in here, 110 something. So that's what I'd be doing right now. Now, I'm sure the guys in the pro group have setups on other coins, and that's what you got to do, man. You got to, like, when things like aren't really happening straight in Bitcoin and you don't see anything clear, you got to look for some other opportunity. That's where you go. Now, we got this potential. I mean, this double top is hanging over our heads like a storm cloud, like over like a calm sea right now. The market's kind of calm. It's starting to recover, but this beast is still above us. And I personally, as a trader, I can feel the tension. But the break really hasn't come yet. So now when Bitcoin gets back up there, I'm just saying, when Bitcoin gets back up there, we need to respect this double top. Because probably the first two attempts, it's not going to go through. And it's going to look like then the market makers are going to try to be slamming the coin down to freak everybody out again, thinking that it's going back towards the 102,000 low, but it's not. So it's going to be a head fake up there. And we'll navigate you through it. But I can see it happening in my mind's eye in the future when we get back up here. And I think it's going to be the near future, guys. I don't think it's going to be, long way away. I think it's going to be the near future. Okay, give it a couple of weeks or so, 3 weeks, maybe a month. But when Bitcoin gets back up here, we as traders need to respect the level. That's for sure. Because the 127,000 is the point to break. That's the point that needs to go in order to open up the floodgates higher to like 135, 136, 140. Okay, so until then, this is like a thunderhead waiting to crack. And any short-term wrong move could actually send this thing. I don't know who just jumped in there. Any type of wrong move can actually send this screen. Our screen's red again. So we got to be really, really cautious. Now, Part of today's rebound is linked to a mix of macro and technical factors. Now, on Friday, there's going to be CPI report that's been delayed thanks to the government shutdown, right? It's been pushed to October 24th. There are expectations about 78% chance of policy easing. That's what they're thinking, which supports the bid in risk assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? So right now the market's moving towards a rate cut. Now those numbers are coming out on October 24th, and where they really think there's going to be an expectation for another rate cut on October 29th. I don't know. The more I think about it, first I was kind of like, remember yesterday I said in the video, we really need to talk about rate cuts again. This is rate cut talk. Uh, Powell is he's a skunk. So we have potential. Yeah. All right. I would say about 78% chance that it's going to happen. All right. I'll go with it. So we got to always remember that the lower rates reduce the cost of holding non-yielding assets. And that's a natural lift for crypto and especially also gold, of course, alike, right? So as we are looking at Bitcoin bouncing back right now, remember this thing is ominous. I really, I really want to clear, the 118 to try to attack this top. But as it stands right now, if we look at Bitcoin itself, I don't know who the heck keeps jumping into my charts, but it's getting a little annoying. All right, anyway, so right now we had a make or break zone for Bitcoin, right? It acted as resistance originally 5 times. It's now acted as support for the 3rd time. So we said the bulls are drawing the line here. We needed to hold the line, or else we were looking at that double top actually flushing us out down to 90,000. We're still not out of the woods. Okay, we're not out of the woods, but it's looking better because this is now looking more like accumulation, as we said it would. Now, really, it was speculative on our part to say that accumulation was occurring. Now we can kind of see that it is occurring. So we got to really brace for what comes next. We know that we get through, the points that I just gave you. There's some wood to chop around 115, 118, and of course 120. But if we can get up there again, you got to remember all the weight that drove the price down and all the bears that are in this marketplace right now. We could crack the top, get the retrace, and then really blow through 127 and head higher. So again, you got to pick your battles. You got to pick your points. Right now, as I said in the open, I think Bitcoin's kind of, Bitcoin's kind of like consolidating right now. There's not really much to do right now. So if we are correct about the rate cut, if the market is correct that a 78% chance that they're going to cut the rate, it's just what the bulls need for Bitcoin, okay? Because Bitcoin is not going to lag for long. So if we're correct about the rate cut, that's going to be more injection of, global liquidity, and M2 will be expanding further. Gold will rip a little bit higher, and this is where I'm saying that Bitcoin could catch the tailwinds. Doesn't need to have gold to stop, but okay, gold is still ripping higher. I think let me see, what the heck is gold right now? Let me check gold right now. Bloody hell, 4,317, silver at 52.43. Gold has got resistance at 4,600 now. I mean, it's it's unbelievable, and silver's got resistance right really at 55 and a half, 56, and then like 63 or something. So those metals are ripping, but we're thinking Bitcoin's going to go risk on, is returning. Bitcoin is really coiling, it's going to break, and liquidity always chases risk. So we're seeing Bitcoin is going to be, a great beneficiary of it. So Bitcoin will be next. It's not, the slingshot move is going to be fast and it's going to be pretty violent. Now we know that Bitcoin tested the bull market baseline, and we were on the ropes for a while there. So I'm going to take you to this chart. We're saying a bull market baseline is actually the 50-week smooth moving average. Now, if we go back in time, it marked every major liftoff since 2023. Smart money buys the retest. Retail buys the breakouts, and then the chart actually separates the tourists from the traders, right? So you gotta be willing to try to catch the daggers at the bottom. Okay, you gotta be willing to do it, of course, with good risk management, right? You just don't. Like Larry Hite used to say, and I've said in many videos, Larry Hite is a wonderful trader. He's still alive. He's not trading anymore, but he wrote a book called The Rule. It's a great book. I think every trader should read it. Okay, but he used to always say, "Don't bet the deli to win a pickle." And I think that's the greatest money management advice I've ever heard. Do not bet the deli to win a pickle. All right. Keep that in mind. Write it down. All right. So we know that Bitcoin retested the most respected trend line since 2022. We've shown you this chart before, and it's done it again. All right. So forget the noise. Watch the trend line. We've said that. It's the same one that caught the 2023 low. It held the 2024 correction, and it reignited the 2025 rally. So every retest was the spring for the next leg up. That area is where the bulls get loud. Now, let's move on to now I'm going to go into something that's very, very important. But this is where I'm telling you this is long term. All right? But it's very important news. Okay? And we posted this on X, okay? And I'm going to get into the reasons why it's important. We have our X post right here. U.S. Treasury just added seized digital assets to its strategic Bitcoin reserve. Yeah, okay. So they seized people's assets and now they're putting it into the reserve. Feel bad for those dudes and gals. I don't know what they were up to get their assets seized, but it's never cool, but if you're into nefarious things, and you get caught and you got crypto, they'll seize anything, They'll seize they'll seize anything, They'll seize your underwear drawer. It's like ridiculous. But anyway, just when you thought the headlines couldn't really get any bigger, they did. So if we look at this, the U.S. Treasury just added seized digital assets to its strategic Bitcoin reserve, growing the holdings by 64% overnight. They are now worth roughly 3.5% of America's gold reserves by value. That officially makes the United States the second largest Bitcoin holder on earth, right behind MicroStrategy. The game has definitely changed because this move turns Bitcoin from a speculative trade into a sovereign reserve instrument, a tool of state level balance sheet strategy. It signals the legitimacy of long-term confidence and quietly removes supply from the market. This is not going to be spent, folks. So it's pulling supply away from the marketplace. It's a stealth bullish force for the years ahead. Now, so I'm telling you, this is not now. Don't, oh yeah, I'm going to put the house on it. No, because Bitcoin is going to whip back and forth. It's not, this is in the background. It's in the background. It's like, you put I love to cook, so when you put a spice, it should be in the background. It shouldn't be in the foreground. You see people make French toast and they put so much cinnamon on the toast that it's not French toast anymore. It's like cinnamon toast. I mean, the cinnamon has to be in the background. And that's really, that's what I'm talking about here. Forgive my French toast analogy. But anyway, I want to take you over to this next post. Okay, so if we look at this one, look at this. Fed Chair Powell. Banks are free to offer services in the crypto industry. That's not a war on crypto anymore, folks. That's open collaboration. Banks, the Fed, the Treasury are now aligning around digital asset infrastructure. Sovereign accumulation plus banking integration. That's how the next phase of crypto adoption begins. Now, let's think about this. The base case, let's just take a base case right now. Bitcoin moves into a new regime of institutional recognition and sovereign backing plus banking infrastructure. What do you think is going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years? Well, I would say as a trader, I would expect the floor price of Bitcoin to gradually rise. Example, less volatility downward because more holders are long term. And one of the risk of free fall scenarios is now reduced. So one of the risk of a free fall scenario is now reduced. Not all of them, but a major portion of it is. Okay. Upside scenario. US does this and it's doing it. If other countries follow the US by holding Bitcoin as part of the reserve and the banks, governments build, complementary infrastructure, Bitcoin could transition from this niche asset to a global digital reserve, i.e., a store of value, and thus command a much higher valuation, say several times its current value. Now, I've done some quick math on it, and me and math aren't really the best of friends, but I'm saying that right now, a cautious scenario, right? Let's just get into the caution before I go over like my crazy math. All right. Um, the caution that we have to really, pay attention to, right? The announcements, you know, are right now you could say symbolic, and if they are just symbolic, they're not. I mean, they're doing something, right? But let's just say they decide to change their mind, which they can do, and let's say the adoption or utility lags. In that case, Bitcoin is going to appreciate, but more slowly. Valuations may stagnate while the market waits for deeper infrastructure and usage and regulatory clarity. So they could throw a wrench in the works by pulling this back and going, "Oh wait, we're going to do this, but we just need to, hammer out some laws." That would like slow things down. But right now, this is like press on the gas in the long term. Now, here's in numeric terms. Okay, so let's say Bitcoin trades at 115. Okay, it's a little bit less than that right now. I just picked 115, okay? Because that's the price we need to break over. So then over the next 5 to 10 years, this news increases the probability of a scenario where it trades at least 5x in real terms rather than staying flat or declining, provided adoption and institutionalization continues. The key will be execution, how the government treats the reserves, how banks move, how regulations evolve, rather than just announcements. So, caution, this is the long term, but it's showing that Bitcoin is going to be part of, like we've been saying, it's part of infrastructure. We've been saying it for the longest time. All right, enough with Bitcoin and the long term, all rosy. Let's look at Ethereum. What's going on in Ethereum? Oh man, gosh, people are jumping in. Sterling dollar. Who's trading sterling dollar in our group? Cool. Wait a second. What's my sterling yen doing? Sterling yen. That's unmoved. All right. So anyway, moving on to Ethereum. Ethereum near 4,000, holding steady despite macro pressures on it. Ethereum's, like we said, Ethereum shows structural strength around 3,600. Altcoins remain mixed, but some good vibes for XRP are coming, and I got that for you. Liquidity's thin right now. Rotation's hesitant. Pros are waiting for macro clarity. Also, we got Bitcoin dominance. We're going to get into that. But Ethereum is just trading just above 4,000. It's down like 7.5% from last week. All right. But there's the silver lining. Like we've said it before. DeFi metrics are stable. L2 activity is quietly ramping back up. So we could say that Ethereum needs to hold 3,600, and we could see the short-term relief rally. It needs to get above 4,200 in order for that rally really to kick in. So right now it's basically still consolidating. It's still quiet. But as we move into Q4, Ethereum still has a shot of outperforming Bitcoin, especially as scaling, staking yield, and on-chain utility comes back into focus. It's starting to get back into focus, but the Bitcoin dominance is still high right now, so we got to just be patient. But if we look at Ethereum, if we compare Ethereum to gold, we could see Ethereum is basically mirroring gold's breakout. It's taken gold took a long time for it to actually happen. Ethereum's taken its sweet time as well, but gold led the way, and Ethereum's going to follow. It's the same pattern, same setup. You've seen it before. We know how it ends. It's going to be a big movement upward in Ethereum. We're looking at Ethereum 10 grand. We've said it before. Okay, when is it going to happen? I don't know. Tomorrow. You know, I mean, it's delayed right now because we look at Bitcoin, dominance again. So we know that also Ethereum broke out of a bull pennant. We had the bullish pennant. It broke out. It's still waiting for, the break of the 4,800. But this is a monthly chart, so we got to be patient with it. But it's actually showing, the breakout and the retest, and now we can potentially, you know, take off from here. Okay, so on the weekly, if we look out at the weekly chart, the weekly even showing a monster move. Here's the weekly. It's a double EMA retest, same setup, same opportunity as before. Last time it was up 70% in weeks. Retail weights, smart money is quietly loading. Okay, so the dip was the entry, not the exit. Now let's move over to Bitcoin dominance because I don't want to run too long. I know you guys get upset if we go too long. So where's my Bitcoin dominance chart? All right, we broke out of the ascending wedge, and guess what? We had a monster like retest, a monster break back upward. Okay, we need Bitcoin dominance sits right now at 59.50. It's a little bit lower than yesterday. Good news for altcoins. So we're starting to see what is the rotation actually happening right now? No. Okay, no. But before we wrap up, crew, I'm going to take you over. Where do you get into this pro group that I keep talking about? Links right here in the description. You click this link, you'll be taken over to our Telegram, completely free to join. We drop insane alpha trading opportunities daily in there for you. If you want to go it alone, we got two brokers you can choose from, both excellent, low fees, fast execution, and both of these guys. Click this link over to WeX. They got some insane bonuses going on right now. I think like free, no fees for life or something like that. BTCC, another great broker. They're giving away a $500 US giveaway to for new clients. That's a pretty good little boost for you right there. So you got two to choose from. If you want to level up your trading, you really need one. You need a good charting service. You need good advice like this channel, and you also need a good broker. You don't want a broker where like the bid offer spread is like, you could drive a truck through it. You don't want that. And there's a lot of brokers that are like that, and they're very slow in execution. Some of them show you that a really good rate, bid offer spread, and you go to take the offer or hit the bid, and you get done at a different level because they're just playing games. But not these guys. These guys are really professional. I suggest you check them out. All right, so let's get on over into what's going on in altcoins. All right, if we talk about the total altcoin market cap, back towards 3.75 trillion, it's up 3% in the last 24 hours. Now that's real capital rotation, right? Traders are once again hunting for the best crypto to buy amid a cautiously bullish sentiment. I wrote that in specifically. It's a cautiously bullish sentiment because, as you know, I gave you the points. We got to clear. But right now, if we looked at this chart, we could say the whales are clearing the field. We got resistance that flipped. We got a cup that formed. 2021 delivered a 400% pump. 2025 is already starting to echo it. This is the calm before the alt storm. Now, of course, we got to wait for Bitcoin dominance to cool a little bit. Now, here's the good news. All right, there's discussions between Ripple, Coinbase, and U.S. lawmakers. They're bringing regulatory clarity back into focus. So no decisions yet, but the tone is finally constructive. A big shift from the hostility we saw like earlier in the year. So that's good news. Okay. Now we're starting to get some clarity. Okay. Now got to see what happens because again, when you're dealing with lawmakers, you never know what could happen. You really can't dislike those people enough. I'm telling you, man. All right. So what's going on? Let's wrap it all up. All right. Let's look at Bitcoin. I'm going to show you that chart that I had up the other day because 5 years from now, we might look back on this week as the moment Bitcoin crossed the line. These two posts that we have up might be the point that we say that Bitcoin crossed the line. And when we're saying that Bitcoin Q2020, the end of 2025, the beginning of 2026, we're up at like 200,000 and we get the retrace. Well, maybe that's not going to happen because it went from rebellion to reserve, from outsider money right now to institutional cornerstone. Because when the US Treasury holds Bitcoin and the Fed invites banks into crypto, it's not speculative anymore. That's the money evolution in real time that we've been waiting for. So for those of you that bought Bitcoin 3,000, 5,000, and for you geniuses that bought it below, $100, congratulations. Congratulations. You freaking geniuses. Really. I would I would stand up from my desk right now and clap. What a job. What a job. Because you had conviction, you had a dream, you had an idea. Man, I wish that I was friends with you. And I wish you'd talk to me. Because I'm still grinding it out every day trading FX, all right? But I do like it, but hey, I wouldn't mind having a couple to 3 million in the bank or Bitcoin right now. That's for sure. All right, so let's back onto the technicals, all right? Just closing up, all right? We got this ominous double top that's above us right now. We have Bitcoin that bounced off support. It's printing higher lows right now, which is very, 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 very cool. This little higher low is very important for us to hold. If we can get a clean break above like 113, we got like 117, 116 in the sights. That's another monster that we got to get through. So we got these two levels. So right now, cautious. Caution is the name of the game. All right, Ethereum itself. Ethereum, long-term breakouts following gold. Also, we got the resistance up at the 4,200, reclaiming 4K, defending its uptrend from the July breakout right now. So altcoins are showing a bit of rotation. XRP, Solana seeing bullish option spikes as capital starts rotating out of Bitcoin and Ethereum into higher beta plays. But it's classic mid-cycle behavior. Majors stabilize first, then the satellites are going to move. All right, that's just the way it goes. All right, so we are tentatively bullish right now. Make sure that you come on over to X. You follow us on X, where we talk about Bitcoin, crypto all day, every day. So remember, all right, although we're tentatively bullish, we're not complacent with this thing because the panic phase is starting to fade. Confidence is slowly creeping back in. And this is when the pros position quietly, not emotionally. So the key zones to watch, like I just said, right? That one, just one more time, all right? Just so you understand, all right? This 108 level, very, very important. Here would be the warning. A break of 108.3 would send us back down to, say, 107.6. These two levels are very important. Breakout above 13 is actually showing that we're grinding higher. All right, so make sure you come on over to X, follow us on X. So what do you got to do? Well, you got to join our pro group, okay? It's completely free. What else you have to do? Well, if you don't join our own group, you got to do your own research. As you know, I am just a trader like yourself. I am not a financial advisor at all, okay? Next thing you got to do, well, you got to trade with your head and not over it. Don't over leverage yourself. And the next thing you got to do is you definitely have to enjoy the party, but dance near the door as a short-term trader. I'll see you tomorrow. Good trading, good profits. Cheers.